Hey everyone, we are back, and we are at the point in October where if you are like me, you have been dabbling and doodling and playing and painting, and now you have 3 million pictures of pumpkins and whatnot and leaves and trees and boots, and you're like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with all this art? And what I'm going to tell you is you're going to turn it into quote art. You're going to stick it in the mail, and you're going to make other people happy, and then frame some for yourself. And if you haven't been doing this, this is a wonderful time to create some fall art. I'm going to show you a little bit of a different technique today. We're going to do a little bit of painting, but I'm going to show you how to repurpose some of your art and to create beautiful quote art. I've got one up here. I'm also going to show you what not to do. So first of all, if you haven't been painting a lot and you want to jump in with us, I have started something different where I wrote my quote out first. And if you write it in a micron pen, it's going to bleed all over the place, but I've written it in a Sharpie. One of my favorite fall quotes by Oscar Wilde, all at once summer collapse into fall, because that's what it always feels like in California. I always say we get like 2 weeks of fall, and when it's here, it's glorious and you want to eat it up every minute. So what I'm going to do right now is I think that I'm just going to paint out. I haven't even really sketched anything. So I think I am just going to do the side of a tree really quickly. And it's going to be very loose and very lovely. And I'm just going to kind of show you one way if you wanted to work around if you have a quote you've already written, you can kind of work around it. That's a little bit watery, but that's okay. I'm going to stretch my tree branches up there. So my idea is that it's going to kind of collapse, and I'm purposely putting it off to the side. We'll add in some blue to darken it up. And I'm going to go ahead and put in some orange leaves. So if you're joining me and you want to do this quick watercolor sketch, I've done the quote on the side with the Sharpie. I'm going to go ahead and put in some leaves. And if you've been painting with me this season, you know what I like to do is I like to do mirroring, where I paint the leaves down here and extending out, and then I'll mirror them falling on the ground, because that's the beauty of autumn leaves, right? And I'll put them like this. I'm going to add a little bit of blue into my brown to create that darker brown. I ran out of my burnt sienna, so I'm kind of making my own this week. Either I ran out or I can't find my tube. It could be either or. And we'll put those tree boughs right up here. Add in some dark right down here. If you wanted to add Payne's Gray, you could. It just sometimes is a little bit too dark. And I've been working a little bit of a softer palette this fall. And then I'm going to get some cadmium orange, or if you have red, mix some red and yellow, or if you want to be real bold. And I'm going to go ahead and once again dabbing around, letting the watercolors dance together, and then down below doing a little bit of mirroring down here. I'm not being terribly exact. I'm kind of creating a sense of leaves on top of each other and leaving some white space in between, but I want just a really loose watercolor. I'm going to take a little bit of alizarin crimson, or if you have a red, make a red, and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of the brown. I'll come in a little bit here so you can see that. Just a little bit. And then down over here. And this is a really quick way to do if you wanted to do, several sketches. The other thing you can do too, if you want to take a paper towel and dip it into your paint a bit, and then dab it like this to kind of create the shadowy effect of leaves in the back. And this works because all the colors go together. It's not as if I have a green that's going to make it turn muddy. I can even go a little bit like this. Again, that's just with your paper towel. And then what I can come back in is I can come in and do a little bit of detail work on the top. So it looks like there's more leaves far away. So just another idea to help change it up. It's fun to do different things. Add a little bit of red in there. That really gives it a pop, doesn't it? Okay. And if I wanted to, maybe even do a couple of leaves as if they're falling down. They're in flight, because that's fun. And then we could even come back and put little stems on them. What I will come back and do as well is I'm going to get some more blue, deepen up my brown, because I want to create a little bit more of a shadow effect. And then right down in here to create that darkness, the shadows. I might have put a little bit in here. Up in here, up in my branches. And if I didn't like the color, I thought it was a bit too much, you just come back in and just dab, dab, dab. And it's so wet right now, it comes off, which is fine. And then I'll just come back in with some brown. And keep it nice and saturated. Add a little bit of Payne's Gray just to darken it up. Add some more brown. And then come back in again. Oh, see, that's really nice. A little bit more brown. That's really nice. Okay, so again, that's lovely. Put my branch up here. We have maybe one sticking out here. Make sure your tree trunks aren't too perfect. There's usually stuff sticking out, right? If you want to do a little side branch there. Let the paint linger. Add some shadowing. Now over here we can leave this white, or you could put a really, really, really light yellow. And because it's a Sharpie, it's going to repel the water. It doesn't blend it in. Isn't that fun? And that's just a little bit of that gamboge. And that just helps it sparkle a little bit. I like that a lot. And that's a fun way. What is that? That's just, how many minutes did we spend on that? 7 minutes. 7 minutes. That's just really, really lovely. Okay, so that's a really fun way to make some fall art. There's all sorts of really fun phrases. One of my favorites is the one by Anna Green Gables. I'm so glad we live in a world where there are Octobers. Me too. Me too, Anne. So that's a fun one. Another one is another art that I did where I did the art first, and this is one that I painted first and then put on the quote. I had sketched in the quote. Now I will say I usually do it with pencil first to make sure I have enough room. And this one is Autumn shows us how beautiful it is to let things go. And that's appropriate with the falling leaves and the pumpkins. Okay, another mistake I made. This is Life Starts All Over Again When It Gets Crisp in the Fall, by the quote by F. Scott Fitzgerald. But you can see the problem with this one, right? It is completely too small and it's over the pumpkin and it doesn't stand out at all and it just looks sloppy. So that's what not to do. This probably wasn't the best painting for a quote, or what I should have done is taken a bolder Sharpie and gone around and outside. That would have been cute. So think about how it's going to show off both the art and then the quote. Now this one I accidentally added an extra L in the fall because apparently I don't know, I needed some more copy or whatnot, but also it was over the orange where it didn't quite blend well. So that was kind of another, what I would say, be careful of that. This is a really cute pumpkin. We had done this in one of the first lessons of the season 2. And if you notice, this actually has some really nice area to write a quote or to write a little letter to a friend. You know, if you want to send letters, but you don't know what to write, or you just want to pop something into the mail, you don't need to write. I think it's really fun to just write an encouraging word, a verse, a prayer, a thought, a thank you, right all around the art, and then pop that in the mail. How fun and pretty is that? But as you do pumpkins lend themselves really nicely to writing around it. So you see that. The other thing is, if you have art where you end up having a lot of blank spot, when we did the boot girls, I'm thinking I'm going to put a quote right down here. I'll go write it out in pencil first to make sure it fits appropriately, but this is going to be a really cute one. And this is a 5x7, so that will be really fun in a frame. So an idea too, if you're having a fall party or whatnot, that's a cute one. This is a piece I did, I think it was last year, but I don't know if I'm going to put a quote, but you can see where this lends itself very nicely. I could even scan this piece of art and put a quote in it. But really fun things you can do with your art. have fun with it. Quote art is so much fun, and I think it is really inspiring for you and for other people, and it feels just a fun way to add your own decor to your home. And so have fun with it. This is, again, I did this one really quick. I put the quote on first. With this one, I put the quote on afterwards, and there's really no right or wrong reason to do it. Remember that with the micron pens, they're going to bleed. So if you write on it first and then you put water over it, they're going to bleed into the water. Another thing to do is, I was listening to Christy Knuckles on her podcast, and she had said something called "Be the soft spot people land on" in one of her teachings, and just the encouragement she was given, and I really loved that. And so what I had done with this one was just a kind of a piece of paper that was left over, and so I squeezed it like a bookmark onto there, and I thought, okay, I can just go ahead and I'm going to use my watercolor paints, and I'm going to go in here, put my and then put my S here. I'm going to move that. I think this is mostly dry. It is. And I'm just going to fill in. And you notice with this quote, I am filling in the whole area. So make sure you do pencil this in beforehand. And with this, I may come back and add in some of the gold, or I have a bronzy pen as well. But be careful if you use watercolor. Remember, when you add more paint to it, it will tend to bleed a little bit, so just be aware of that. But this is really fun and really cute, and I think this is going to be fun to add some glitter to, or some other embellishments, and then stick this in the mail for somebody. If you want to go over it with another layer of paint, that's certainly a fun way to make it a little bit bolder. But using those fall colors too, so I'm using the plum and then the oranges, so some of the traditional and then not the less traditional. But it's a fun way to create art to encourage people. So I'll finish up that and I'll send that in the mail to somebody. I hope this gave you some fun ideas of different things you can use with your art. This is Melissa with thecreativeseason.com. Be sure to subscribe if you're enjoying these. I'm going to be back soon, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care.